Republicans have recycled and gone through a number of responses as a way to justify
reiterating and innovating.
Right. Yeah. They don't really know what to land on to defend Donald Trump here, because it's just so brazen and indefensible that he clearly took classified documents from the White House and was slow, if you're being generous, to return them back. So their new response is that we'll release the affidavit that was used as the justification for the Mar-A-Lago raid. Now, the practice is that an affidavit is not unsealed usually for almost, I can't even think of an instance really, unless someone is charged, and that's a way to protect somebody if they're, not, and they don't end up being charged, and also to protect the investigation if they do end up being charged. The process of the investigation is still ongoing, and so, I do think it's fair in this instance to say, okay, it's a special circumstance. This is a former president. It's pertaining to classified material that's in the public interest. I understand that. But Republicans want to release it for political purposes, so they can see this heavily redacted document with big black redacted parts and say, look, what are they hiding ahead of the midterms? But the federal judge here does say that he's inclined to unseal at least parts of it because of newsworthiness. I don't love that. I mean, I guess I'm mixed on it. I just think it could tip the Trump team off, even with the smallest amount of information, as to who's cooperating with the feds, and chill, potentially other witness involvement. But, it's really peanuts in the end, because the investigation is the big, white whale here. But in reality, this is all that Republicans have as a way to fight back against this, and they're struggling to defend it. And no one makes that more obvious than Dan Crenshaw here over the weekend on with Jake Tapper, he's visibly nervous trying to defend Trump, and doesn't seem confident in his defense of the former president.
Why not just ask?
Didn't they? I thought they'd been negotiating and trying to get the information from him, and
he cooperated.
But he didn't turn over boxes and boxes of material, as far as the Justice Department says.
But he's been cooperating, and I think he's on the record saying, whatever you need from us, just ask. It's great to see you guys. I mean, it was a very friendly environment.
His lawyer said they didn't have any more classified information, and the Justice Department said, yes, you do, and they went and got it. And the only reason we know about the raid was because Donald Trump announced it.
Right. Well, I think we would have figured it out even if he hadn't. But look, yes, the lawyers did sign that document, but they have nothing left. Now, that's either a huge mistake on part of the lawyers, but even if it was nefarious, again, why not say, hey, we don't believe you. Now let us come back and let's go through these boxes again. There's tons of boxes here. I mean, do any of us really believe that Donald Trump is reading his nuclear secrets on his bedside at night? There's an intent question here, and if you're
I think that intent question, that's the one smart thing about that, which is that is going to be the problem, because it could be what I have kind of figured is they're going to put the intent on some lower level figure and push this off on them, would be my prediction, because the intent thing is always something hard to prove with this sort of thing. You've heard Ben Shapiro talk about Donald Trump isn't somebody who has intent. He's so, I don't know what, he's sociopathic. I don't know, an intentless figure. But that's why they talk about intent so much, and why Trump can't have it, is because that's what a lot of these issues are going to come down to.
Yeah, it's you're not able to capture it. You can just kind of fearmonger about it, essentially. And of course, given the nature of the FBI, they're an easy vehicle for that kind of obfuscation. So that part, I think, is the most effective track that they could go down. But when he talks about how Trump has been cooperating, the whole point is that they came to him first and were working with the lawyers to retrieve the documents, and then he wasn't being cooperative. Just because you're talking to the feds and you're having an interaction with them doesn't mean that you're cooperating. And the evidence is obvious that he wasn't, because they found documents that he refused to return to them.
But I was cooperating with these other documents I gave you, and I guess what I'm saying is just a little bit, like, be nice about it.
Cooperate. It's a half.
I said it was good to see you guys. I said thanks for coming. You're welcome anytime. It's good to see you. And you could have just said, oh, those ones? Oh, you want all of the boxes. Okay, well, you should have just said that.
Yeah, right. So like the timeline of this is that this has been over a year in the making. Like I think the National Archives reached out to Trump or realized they were missing documents around May. And then finally, I think January is when the documents were retrieved, but they were very late. Didn't give them all back. And then
I did cooperate with some of them, though.
Yeah, some of them were very good people. Some of them. And then, of course, in June they also were trying to meet with Trump lawyers again, and they were still just kicking the can down the road because Trump wanted to hold on to these for whatever reason. I don't know if it's for sentimental purposes, if he wanted a memento from his time in office, or if he wanted to use that as some sort of blackmail or leverage or sale.
No, I would never. I would never think about that. It's because I'm a hoarder. I've been dealing with it for a long time. I'm working with a therapist, but I can't get rid of anything. I can't let it go.
And that's why I ripped up those documents. It was a way of purging. That's what my therapist told me.
It was a bit manic.
I mean, yeah. Plus the toilet thing. But that's for another day.